So if we were to begin with the video from Mr. Obata, who is interviewing Mr. Hayashi, who is from SHUEISHA, and they're sharing with us some of the things that they've been doing to create games, develop games, and we get the impression that Mr. Hayashi is really a successful person who has been working on several games simultaneously. Even I think he mentioned 4 projects in the works, all being done at his company. He's not the president, but it looks like he is someone who is in charge, and he is sharing with us some of the thoughts behind the games that they are developing, particularly the ones regarding online gaming. And he is sharing with us the idea that many people try to create games in the hopes of selling the game, and so they look for ways to make the game fun, make the game interesting. In his perspective, it's better to emphasize the part about creating the community, the people who will be talking about the game, the people who will be playing the game. And we have to also clarify that eventually we'll also want them to buy the game, because I was thinking that the first time I heard that part, I thought that maybe they're not really too interested in selling the game per se and getting people to buy the game. But later on, he does say that because once you develop a community of gamers, of people who love your IP, for example, your intellectual property, they'd be willing to pay for whatever merchandise, whatever product that you are doing. So, in that sense, they want people to continue on buying the games. And I think some of the people who are also thinking about somehow making it in this industry find it, well, in this day and age, it's really something that you have to consider. Although, when we look at so many people creating fake accounts, so many people creating these false identities, giving some kind of comment or feedback, you definitely would have some kind of difficulty also assessing which ones are true, which ones are just trying to sway you to another direction. And I think in that sense, sometimes we want to create a community, but how do we create a community of people who are not liars, who are not fakes, right? But because Mr. Hayashi seems to be doing so well, he knows something about how to do this actually. Although I think that Mr. Obata would also want to know how it's done exactly, and maybe we'll get another interview, and we'll be able to understand some more how this is actually done. We are, of course, reminded that the video game industry rewards people for doing certain things, and even though the game might not be the best in terms of gameplay, it could still be a bestseller. So it's the type of industry where a person who might have done the best gameplay ever wouldn't wouldn't be able to be a winner. And when I say winner, wouldn't be able to make a lot of money. And that's why there are so many game developers, even in Japan, who are struggling, who seem to be also looking for ways to at least somehow get by, get a job in the same industry, still in the video game industry. And that's why you have this impression that they need a job. They don't have anywhere else to go really, and if you can give me some kind of project, I'll do it. Even though actually I don't really want to create that type of game, but because you're willing to finance it, then I'll go and do it. I think it's a common type of feeling that we get when really the industry is like this. You create a game that has spectacular graphics, great gameplay, and yet it doesn't make money. So in the end, whoever has money through some means, and if we remember Mr. Yoshiki Okamoto, he's been buying stocks and selling stocks and even getting gold and selling gold because the games per se are too difficult to predict which ones would be making money. And it seemed to him that based on what he's doing, selling stocks, selling shares would be the path to make money that is a lot more predictable than launching a game. I think in my case here, I've been studying how creators, video game developers are doing what they're doing in the industry, and somehow financing what I'm doing through another type of means, not necessarily selling games, but working the cash register, the type of job that I think most people would not really think about doing if they're supposed to be the designer or some kind of creative type of work that I mean, really, you're doing a cash register? And how much are you getting, right? In terms of payment, not much, but I think it's a way to at least somehow get by, and then create something creative on the side. So we'll see how that goes. I think we remember Kadokawa, who used to come up with business apps, and the business apps, they were, I think, somehow making money out of those, earning somewhat, but they had free time, and during their free time, they were creating some of the games that we'll later recognize as one of those franchises, well-known franchises, and in particular the Armored Core series. I've never really played that game, but I've read the story when GameFan interviewed the guys at FromSoftware, and it looked like they weren't really the types who were, I think I mean, sometimes you see on media the sort of business guys, right? That seem to be the guys who exemplify what it's like to be the leaders. They should be wearing some kind of fancy suits or some kind of look. They should have this look that they are leaders, right? But the guys they were interviewing, I think they had, one of them had this impression that he was more of really one of those computer nerds. And if I recall, he wasn't really even wearing one of those suits that really expensive fashion designers would be creating. I think it was even color maroon or something like that. So that type of story I revere, and I do want to play the Armored Core game for the PlayStation if I ever do get the chance to play it. I think we were able to get a copy of that, but I was playing something else. I think I don't get to play a lot of games even in the 90s. We didn't get to play a lot of games because we only got to play during summer, but we get a lot of information about games. and sometimes we get to try out a few of them. And I see people who try them out, and I see people who talk about them, and so I listen and I watch, but I don't necessarily play all of them. So that's how I somehow get to know some of the games, and somehow seem to evoke the impression that I play a lot of these games. That's why right now I do download the demos or even buy some of the cheap ones on Steam to play the games myself, because after so many years I've never really played the Diablo game, and I've never really played the Tomba game. It will be only 30 years later, I think, when I'll be able to play those games. Alright, so I think that should be enough. Thanks for joining me, and see each other soon.